Good morning, everyone. It is the very first, maybe last, don't know. It depends on our moods here at OTJ. Small changes, big impact, and or big effort, no impact event at Online Teaching Japan. Online Teaching Japan also would like to take this opportunity to sponsor Jerry Yokoda's Myanmar fundraiser. So, going to be doing this at the start of the morning, at the end of the morning, and the afternoon sessions as well too. Check out that URL. I'll be providing the URL not just in QR code form, but in proper URL form a little bit later through the chat. And feel free to be generous because Jerry's got a really good cause going here. Okay, our first presentation is by Kathryn Hido Akasaka. Kathryn, would you like to take it away?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you for coming to this very first early morning session. Yeah, first I'll just briefly a little bit about me. So I live and work in Morioka, Iwate. I'm a salaried part-timer at a private junior high and high school, and I also work part-time at 3 local universities. So today I was going to be talking about how I started using Padlet to help with focus on forms. So I was, people are familiar with this book, Teaching Unplugged by the wonderful Scott Thornberry. He has a whole section on focus on forms, and it's the kind of thing I think, I don't know, people read about, know about. And personally, I definitely struggled to sort of incorporate this in a meaningful way in my classroom. There was a lot of talk, Scott mentions in his book, all this writing on the board. I think Jose is going to talk a little bit later about alternatives to writing on the board. And it's just, yeah, I have nice handwriting, but I just found it was kind of time consuming just to write on the board. What are the students doing while I'm doing that? Et cetera, et cetera. So yes, during the, when we started, teaching remotely, I started using different, digital tools. And one of them is Padlet. And then that sort of transferred over into my, day-to-day in the classroom teaching situation. Here we go. Here's my cat Zoom bombing. Yes, here we go. So here's one of the ways I have used Padlet. I call this one Handy Manny. So in this case, I have written up different mistakes that I've either heard student make or I've seen them, written down in their textbook, or I teach basic communication to generally first year students, and as a part-timer we always get the lowest level students. So these are mistakes that my students had made, and what I do here is I would put the mistakes, and students can work together in groups to try and correct the mistake. I put the link to this one in the chat if anybody wants to go and look at it. Padlet does have what's called like a moderation feature. And so, Anonymous, what do you know about? So someone's okay. So maybe my moderation feature isn't on. So sometimes I would have it where the students would write their answers and then nobody else would see them until everyone has finished, which is a thought, which I thought it was a feature I had in here. And then require approval, require a moderate. I don't know why, because this does seem to be toggled. And so I don't know how someone, yes, as always, technology does surprise me. So the students, as always, I think we know in Japan, enjoyed working where no one would like to be doing this alone. Students did enjoy working on this together, thinking about it together. Only one time I remember in the group, the student was like, that was my sentence. I don't know So they felt like they had they're like, that was mine. So I don't really know what to do. But in the group, we all know the power of the group. The group managed to um, work together and do this. Okay, so that would be the um first type that I do. The next one, I'll also put this one in the chat as well. Um, I call this one nice. So in this case, it's just noticing I have a blank Padlet, and then the students themselves, it's generally vocabulary and not so much like grammar, but things that they have noticed that their classmates have used, said or used, and things that they thought were cool, that they thought were nice, cool, interesting, whatever. And then sometimes, if the students are okay, the student that actually used it, I will have them like add the sentence that they used it in or the way that they used it. And I have to say this has been the most popular or interesting. Students they like kind of calling out each other, propping each other up, like, hey, this person said this nice thing or they used this good thing. And then um they are of course free to put their own things that they're, and in my lower level classes, I honestly will say I haven't noticed that, but I do have one class of more advanced students, and they will add their own. They will feel proud enough of their own, you know, thing that they said or used, that they would add that themselves. And so this is the nice noticing. And I say I still have lots of time. I did have one small small Benny here. I will say this is kind of one of initially the ways I was doing it. Padlet has a feature where you can sort of, I'll show you here. Here we go. Where you can upvote or downvote on things. And then I would put it up, and I thought, okay, if students can, indicate what they are interested in, and that's what we could sort of then, I could talk about or explain. But yeah, it's not as I said, it's not a true bending because it didn't involve a lot of time, but it really was not that successful. So I would post these things here, and then I would either find that the votes would be kind of split, or there wouldn't actually maybe be that much to say about it, or conversely, it was maybe a very involved, like the grammar, like the students couldn't get it. And yeah, I don't find that these lower level students, if I was perhaps explaining the grammar in Japanese, it would have been a different matter. But just explaining English, it actually was not that successful to have them upvote or downvote on the things. As I said, this was kind of my initial way that I started using it, but I found kind of quickly that it wasn't successful. So then I moved on to either the nice, sharing what we've noticed from our peers, or the handy manny, where we all work together to correct the mistakes or think about what would be a better phrasing for those things. All right, that is half of the time I was allotted, but indeed, I am already done with my very short bit. If anybody has any questions, I will stop my share here about how using Padlet to focus on forms. Bring on the Benny, yes.
Thank you. That was lovely. I don't use Padlet very much, but it seems like such an intuitive tool for students, really easy for them to access and use.
It is.
I really like the usage that you showed, the second one that you showed, showing good examples from student work,
Mhm,
good usage of certain vocabulary words. I
mhm.
often like to share the good work that my students do too, but my problem is that I'm sharing directly from the LMS. So there's always the chance, of course, I try not to, but there's always the chance that other students might see the grade or see my comments or something like that, which is not great, obviously.
Mm.
So using a Padlet this way is a really nice idea. It just takes a little bit of prep on my part to prepare it before class, but that's an excellent idea. I love that.
I mean, I'll confess I often make these in class as things are going on because they really once the Padlets are kind of there, we kind of keep adding to. So I would have, like Monday's nice, Monday's handy manny, and I just yeah, while they're doing things, just to add a few things in. And Padlet does have that kind of color coding feature, and so sometimes I could just quickly color code, what are the new ones instead of the old ones, or what are, we're doing today. So yeah, I don't generally make these up ahead of time. This is an in class in
Can I
class
ask a
thing.
really basic Padlet question because I don't usually
Go
do
ahead.
it? So do you make a new Padlet or a new Padlet page with a new link every single time, or do they always use the same link so it's easy for them to know where to go?
It's always the same. So like each class would have now each class has generally two, the sharing of good things, and then the handy manny
Okay.
of the correcting. Yeah, so they have two. Um, in my classes, we all have a class line, and the link is in the class line, and I make it an announcement. Um, as in that the one university I use this at the most, they've changed their LMS, and I just didn't change along. I'm not using it. Um,
You have a
so
comment that says color coding feature on Padlet, question mark, from Helen Hanae.
oh, tell us
You want
more.
to demonstrate that for us?
I will surely. Let me get back here to share my screen. Okay. All right. So in the where the little ellipses, you just hit color, and you can just color code as oops, sorry, yes, I'm trying to do this. This is on my sidecar iPad. So that's how you color code on Padlet, Helen. And um yeah, to add something, you just hit the plus button, and then you can add, students can really add in other times that you can add in, as you can see, pictures, links. This is all the things that you can add to a Padlet post. As you said, Susan, it is very intuitive, and I have found it's the kind of thing I generally don't have to explain to them how to use it. I will honestly say I didn't know the color coding feature until one of the students used it like 2 years ago. I was like, oh wow, that's pink. How'd that get pink? Oh, and then I learned that's how I learned about the color coding, was the students had color coded something. Um, so yeah, so I think students, yeah, they're definitely the ones to ask about anything. So
I love it when the students and the teacher are learning about a new application together. It's nice.
mhm.
Yeah. You aren't expected to have all the answers, so that's
I'm
good.
not expected to have all the answers. So
Oh, yeah, Adam Jenkins remarked, yeah, teaching the teacher, right?
teaching the teacher, yes. And I was definitely, I think all the OTD people remember that I was not a tech user in 2019. 2020 was it was a steep hill for me to climb. And conversely, the one of the university classes that I was I was very honest and open about my lack. You know, we were very much all in it together. We were all in it together. And I mean, at the time, the students definitely, you know, I think we appreciated my honesty about that, you know, and then I was also very forgiving. You know, if something wasn't working for them, it didn't work out, we'll find a solution together, you know. And then it created actually a very good class community where they learned, you know, Yusuke was actually a really good Windows user. And the Windows people learned to ask Yusuke because Sensei was a Mac user and really didn't have any knowledge of Windows. But Yusuke did, and Yusuke was very happy to share his information. So
What
I
what
relate
what
to
final
that.
grade did Yusuke get? Did he get bonus points for like being tech help?
well, he was a very good student. I don't, and this is way back, this is 2 years ago. I don't remember, but I'm sure, yeah, definitely nobody failed that time. Everybody, yes, grace was given with those. I mean, I felt that my class anyway, they were working hard. And as I think many people have mentioned, it was the one time in the week that they could actually talk to other students. You know, they were like isolated in their apartments or dorms, and they'd all moved to a new city. And then I made judicious. Once I kind of realized that was like a need that they had. Anything we did, they did in a breakout room, or, you know, any kind of. They were very pure. I had never, no problem with cameras on or doing things. Yeah, they were delighted to see each other. I think they were craving that interaction.
We have just about
So,
3.5 minutes left in your time
yes.
slot. So if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. There are a couple of comments in the chat
Yeah, I
from
can see Sam is talking about learning
yeah.
all kind of things from my students. Yeah, that's right. And forgiving is so important. Yes, when you're just, yes, I'm very forgiving in all aspects of life.
I think with the nature of how you know, technology is changing so fast, and with all kinds of things coming upon us. So the great example is a Chat GPT and artificial intelligence coming into our classrooms, and we don't know what's going to be happening in even the next 2 or 3 months. I mean, some other huge breakthrough might come. I think teachers adopting a paradigm, a classroom paradigm, a classroom attitude of being honest about what they know and what they don't know, not just in technology, but in all aspects of what it is that they teach. You know, no more sages on the stage. I think that will fall through very quickly if you're still using the same lecture notes you were using from 15 years ago with no acknowledgement of things that have happened in the last little while. You're going to get caught. And the attitude of being forgiving, being honest, being open about what you know and what you don't know, I think is something that teachers are going to have to get used to soon.
Yeah. And yeah, not to toot my own horn, but the university sometimes gives awards to, like, when the students have given the very high evaluations, and I got an award from that class, from the class I was talking about, for, like, you know, it comes to excellence in teaching. I remember thinking, oh, I don't know about, you know, the excellence in that, but it was definitely, yeah, I think a lot of it, had to do with just, my honesty, openness. You know, we were all, okay, we're learning together. So